So, Richard, when I interact with a lot of recruiters, I realize that recruiters who come from small and medium sized tech companies, it's a big challenge for them to attract good tech talent. What would you recommend to these recruiters, how they can improve their visibility, how they can attract talent?
One thing is to realize that when using LinkedIn, which is primarily where so many recruiters are operating, is that LinkedIn operates fundamentally different than the other social media platforms. LinkedIn is looking for conversations. It's looking for ways to get each other, the members of the platform, to interact with each other. So as a recruiter, one of the things that you will want to do is find ways to create content and to participate in conversations that drive comments, that drive engagement. And there's some different ways of doing that, but that's one thing to think about. Rather than pictures or video or something that captures their attention, find something that captures their interest that allows them to stay and begin to converse and engage with you.
Okay. And you said like creating content would be a very good strategy, but I think it would also take a little bit of additional time. But what if a company has to hire some talent immediately? Is there a good way to go about that?
Yeah, one technique that I have worked with my clients who are often, I work with a lot of executives and sales teams who are looking to fill positions immediately. And oftentimes I will see their HR or their in-house recruiters or even other recruiters simply post the job opening. We're hiring, here's the job. But what I have my clients do is instead talk directly to the prospect in a post. And what I mean by this is you have to assume as a recruiter that a candidate is going to see your content and be interested. So pretend that you're only talking to them with your content. For example, if I had a position for a software developer that was focusing on a certain aspect of security, which is very popular today, DevSecOps, I might create a post as a recruiter that says, I am so glad I found you. You are the perfect candidate for this role. And the reason is because you have these skills, these skills, these skills, you have a great work ethic, and you enjoy working in a great culture. That's why I'm thrilled that I found you. Now, that kind of post isn't being sent to an individual candidate. It's being sent to their entire network. But you're talking as if you were only having a single conversation back and forth. Now, the candidate themselves is going to relate to that post. They are going to actually feel like you're talking just to them. So it's a very different way than saying, we're looking to fill this position. Here are the job qualifications. Here's what we're looking for. If you know anybody, let me know. And instead, no, you know who that candidate is. You might not know their name. You might not have that connection with them, but you know exactly the type of candidate you're looking for. So take that opportunity on LinkedIn and then go and comment on other content that's out there, talking about the opportunities that are in the field in the industry so that people start to associate you as a recruiter with the high quality type of job leads that they're looking for.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, Richard, this seems to be an amazing strategy. And what if a recruiter gets a lot of response? Would you recommend recruiters to engage with almost every person that reaches out to them? Or would this be a part of long-term strategy?
You know, that's a great question because in my case, I accept the number of exceptions, accepting people's connection requests has gone down dramatically. And oftentimes recruiters are seen as one individual that people don't want to connect with because they're like, look, I'm just going to get people asking me to come hire for a job. But I explain that no, recruiters are the single most important people on LinkedIn to connect with, partly is because of their network. If I'm a candidate and I connect with a recruiter, with you, Aditya, and you then are actually engaging and talking to other people, I'm going to be pulled into your network and expand my opportunities. Mm-hmm. But there are times that we will want to hesitate about accepting too many connections. But with the recruiter, I have to admit, I'm not sure that's possible for too many connections, because here's why. This is the other fundamental aspect of LinkedIn, is that LinkedIn tracks your behavior. That we all know that with social media, but it takes your engagement and your activities and pushes it to other people's networks. So if you can get, the more people you get to engage with your content, the more people who will see that content, because that content will be transferred to their feed, into their networks. And so every person you connect with becomes a potential pool of contacts simply if you can get that person to engage with your content. And so it's a balance. So I don't know if I have a strong answer for you, but I have an answer that says the more people you connect with, the more important it is for them to then become part of your network that you're able to push out there.
Makes sense. And Richard, for recruiting leaders at different companies who have to ensure that they build out a good team of hiring managers and recruiters, what suggestions do you have for recruiting leaders so that they can build a strong team over the period of time in their company?
So oftentimes my advice isn't the obvious advice, and in this case, a leader, what I refer to, must be a digital first leader. And I recently have written a book called Digital First Leadership that talks about this very specific thing. And that is, in today's world, you follow your digital identity. Your digital identity does not follow you. And in the past, I would meet somebody, I would go to a job fair, I would go to a physical location, I would meet people. But that doesn't happen anymore. And who knows if it's going to happen anytime soon. Instead, people come to know me and engage with me through my digital identity. Well, that's the same for leaders today who are building out teams. You want to bring somebody to your team, they're going to look at your LinkedIn profile. You want to lead your team, you're going to need to show and demonstrate by example how you are out there engaging. And so what I do is I talk to leaders and specifically identify that they need to get what I refer to as get their digital house in order. And their digital house starts and is focused on LinkedIn. That is the digital identity, the hub. I don't know, Aditya, you and I don't know each other on Twitter. We're not connected on Facebook.
Yep.
I assume you have an Instagram account. I do, but it's an assumption. I have a TikTok account, but I have to admit I'm not out there. But 100% of our candidates, our prospects, our employees, our team members are all on LinkedIn. And that means we need to be thinking that how am I presenting myself to my team and how am I helping them lead? And so one way to do that, here's a technique that a team leader could use. And that is LinkedIn will reward conversations. I've already said that. So what you do is have a team member pick a topic, pick a very high profile job position or category of jobs, pick a member of the team. And the leader sits down with the team and that member of the team, and they craft a piece of content to go live on LinkedIn. And then the team member coordinates with the other team members to comment on that post. And what will happen is the LinkedIn algorithm does a compounded effect. The more people who comment on it, the further and further the reach goes. And so what I do is I teach leaders to get out there, get their profile positioned so that when somebody goes and says, I want to work for this individual, who am I working for? It's not the cover letter of a CV. Instead, it's somebody talking to me as a potential member of their team. Or if they're already a leader, oftentimes I'm not in the same room with them. We're working remote, we're working from home. So I'm seeing my interaction with them, not just on a Zoom call like you and I are doing, but I'm seeing that my interaction with them seen by the comments they make, the posts that they're leaving on LinkedIn. And so that's, leaders need to lead, and they do that by example. And so that's what I refer to as digital first leadership. Think first as a leader. How do I present myself in the digital realm, and particularly on LinkedIn, so that my team members can follow my example?
That's great. I have a follow-up question here, Richard.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about your book, Digital First Leader? Who is the right audience? Is it for recruiters? Is it for job seekers? Is it for any leaders? And is it available online?
It is available online. It's available on Amazon, and it came out in April. I worked on it for several years. In my role, I work with a lot of CEOs and executives in Silicon Valley. And over time, I've helped them understand how to overcome their hesitancy to be active on social media, particularly on LinkedIn. Because as a leader of a multi-billion-dollar company, they were nervous or cautious about having their name or their voice out there without the safeguards of a PR team or a marketing team or that type of thing. And they were looking to build their influence. And so in my book, I identify the key ingredients that we need to do as leaders to step forward and be present, how to build a voice, how to have that voice, how to rely on our team, how do we share content, what kind of content do we share? All of that material is there, focused mostly on leaders. Now, recruiters could possibly find it useful because I do go into behavioral manners if you're recruiting executives, there are techniques in there on how to identify an executive and reach out and engage with them. For example, one way to engage with executives who may not be as active on LinkedIn is to find something that has been known about them. They've been in the media, they've been in the press, maybe they've shared a post. And what you'll want to do on your profile is mention them. I was recent, for example, Aditya, let's suppose it was you. And I wanted to get your attention. You're an executive, I'm a recruiter, I want your attention. I'm going to write a post that says, I was recently reading an interesting post by Aditya Sharma. And in his post, he said this, and I would quote your post. And then I would say something to the effect of, and I find it very interesting because as I talk to candidates who are looking to step into a role, one of the things that executives need to understand in this new market is this. And then I would give my piece of advice that I'm actually giving to you, but I'm talking to my audience because I said, oh, I just heard this interesting thing from Aditya. Let me share you what he said. And then I talk to my network, but you're going to get notified that Richard Bliss mentioned you in a post. Well, the first thing you're going to ask yourself is, who's Richard Bliss? And the first thing you're going to do is click on that link to find out what I said about you. Why did I mention you? And you'll see me talking not to you and not even about you, but using you as a reference point, as an authority figure. And suddenly I have now been introduced to you in a very soft and safe way so that the next time I reach out to you, hey, Aditya, I saw that extra post. I shared it with my network. I was wondering if we could connect. All of a sudden, I've broken down the barriers of that connection. That's one of the techniques I talk about in my book, Digital First Leadership, that how do we open the door so that we can close business, whether that's getting a candidate or helping close a sale. And it's finding those soft ways of engaging with our audience on LinkedIn.
That is an amazing way, Richard. And I think this specific techniques can be implemented even by job seekers, right? If they want to connect with a particular recruiter, they can tag that recruiter, and even it can be implemented by people like myself, right? Who are always looking to connect with like big shot VCs or angel investors, right? But it's very hard to get that first conversation or connection with them. So thank you so much. This is really, really helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. And just as a side note, a few years ago, my wife was in between jobs and was looking for work. And obviously this is what I do. And so I sat down with her, and she had a friend, and they were both in the same industry, and they were both applying or looking for work in the very same role. And I suggested to my wife that she follow the techniques I've just outlined to you. Comment, put out content that is engaging, actually show people you doing your job, talking about your job, rather than just saying that you're looking for a job. The two of them went to lunch, and my wife's friend said that she was getting no luck. She was sending resume after resume and finding ways to try to get into these companies. And she asked my wife, how many resumes have you sent out? 0. My wife had not sent out a single resume, had not posted a resume, yet had all of the same companies, recruiters contacting her because they saw her activity on LinkedIn. They saw her activity on LinkedIn, and they saw her actually doing and talking about the very things they wanted to hire her for. And my wife's friend was shocked because she was applying for the same positions, and yet my wife was getting all the phone calls and ended up landing a job with 3 different offers from 3 different companies.
Awesome.
So finding ways as a recruiter to be out participating in the conversations is a great way to draw people to you. If you're a job seeker, find ways to actually demonstrate that you're doing your job, not that you're looking for a job. And that's what I tell people all the time now. LinkedIn is where you actually do your job, not where you look for a job. And by doing your job, people will notice you, be drawn to you, and start to engage with you and your content, and then become interested in having you be part of their team because they see the value that you're adding to the platform.
Definitely, Richard, I couldn't agree more on this point. And just to add to your point, whenever I talk to like working professionals, they always tell me that the recruiters reach out to me a lot on LinkedIn with the openings in their current company. And it happens only because they're actively posting there. They keep on showing that they're really good in like data science or software engineering. And when you're and when you're an actual resource, right, to someone,
Yes.
everybody wants to hire you rather than you're a needy person who absolutely need a job in the next 1 or 2 months. So yeah, that's a great point.
And I gotta say, this is a personal thing, that open to work thing that goes on the LinkedIn. I'm not a fan of that. Because what you're saying is that I'd like to connect with you because I want a job, versus I want to connect with you because I found you valuable. Now, from a recruiter, they might be able to quickly identify candidates because they see that open to work. But I got to admit that if I'm a candidate and I'm applying or looking to make a relationship with a company, and they see that open to work, they might wonder what my intentions are. Do I simply just want the job because I'm unemployed? Or am I actually interested in them? And so I'm not sure I agree with that. You know what I'm talking about, right? That little green band.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you, Richard. And because LinkedIn is such a big entity, like I sometimes feel a little bit afraid to confront that thought. But
yes,
even when I have to hire a teammate at High Counselor, right? I don't want to hire a candidate who just want to connect with me to get a job, rather than I want to hire an expert. Recently, we hired a digital marketing lead of a unicorn, right? So we got in touch through a conversation. He was not looking for a job, but then I really got interested that I want to get this person on board. And we recently onboarded this person, compared to a lot of people who reaches out to me that I'm looking for a job. That's I would definitely recommend this to all the candidates to not have this open to work, right? Don't sound too needy and just be a resource.
Don't sound too needy, right? Show your value, and your value shouldn't be I'm available. That's not valuable. That's not value.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Richard, for this brief conversation, for sharing your thoughts and insights